Ever get that feeling? Like you slept for 8 hours but still feel totally wiped out.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Happens to the best of us, right?
Totally. Well, today we're going deep on the history of sleep. And get this, we might have been doing it all wrong this whole time.
Ooh, interesting. What makes you say that?
This article I was reading suggests that the way we sleep now, all in one go, might not be how humans slept for, like, most of history.
Really? Like, how did they used to do it?
It's actually pretty wild. But first, we got to talk about this World War I soldier, Paul Kern.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What about him?
So Kern had this brain injury, really bad one, and it totally took away his ability to sleep.
You mean he couldn't sleep at all? Like, ever?
Yeah, like for decades he lived without actually sleeping.
Wow, that's incredible. And kind of terrifying if you think about it.
No kidding. I mean, how do you even function like that?
It's definitely a medical mystery. Some scientists think he might have experienced what they call microsleeps, these tiny little bursts of sleep that happen without you even realizing it.
So like he'd be going about his day and just doze off for a few seconds here and there.
Exactly. But even if that's true, it still doesn't fully explain how he survived for so long without proper sleep.
Right, because we all know how crucial sleep is. But it's funny, when you really think about it, why do we even need sleep in the first place?
Yeah, that's actually a question that still baffles scientists to this day. You'd think from an evolutionary standpoint, it'd be way more advantageous to be awake and alert 24/7, you know?
Yeah, I mean, more time to hunt, gather, avoid predators.
Exactly. But the fact that sleep is so universal across the animal kingdom and that sleep deprivation can have such dire consequences suggests it must serve some vital purpose.
So what are the leading theories? Why do we sleep?
Well, a lot of research focuses on the restorative functions of sleep. Like repairing tissues, consolidating memories, basically cleaning out all the junk that builds up in your brain throughout the day.
Makes sense. It's like hitting the reset button for your body and mind.
Right. But there's also this growing body of evidence that points to a much deeper role for sleep. Some scientists believe it plays a critical role in emotional regulation, creativity, even our ability to learn and solve problems.
So it's not just about physical rest, but also about processing experiences and making sense of the world around us.
Exactly. It's like sleep is where all the magic happens.
Okay, so we've established that sleep is super important. But here's the kicker. This article claims that for centuries, people didn't sleep the way we do now.
Oh, how so?
Well, instead of getting one big chunk of sleep at night, they practice what's called segmented sleep or biphasic sleep.
I've heard about that. It's like sleeping in two shifts.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
crazy, right? They'd have a first sleep, then be awake for an hour or two. They called it the watch, and then go back to sleep for their second sleep.
Yeah, historian Roger Eckerk did some really fascinating work on this, digging through all these historical texts and finding all these references to biphasic sleep.
It's mind-blowing. Imagine waking up in the middle of the night and just like chilling for a while before going back to sleep. Like, what did people even do during the watch?
All sorts of things. Some folks prayed, meditated, read. Others would chat with family, write in their journals, or even visit neighbors. Can you imagine?
Wow, like a late night social hour.
Mm.
So how did this practice, which was apparently the norm for like forever, just disappear?
Well, the biggest game changer was artificial light. Back before electricity, people's lives revolved around the sun. When it got dark, it just made sense to go to bed.
Yeah, it's not like they could just flip on a switch and keep the party going.
Exactly. But as candles and then gas lamps and eventually electric lights became more common, people were able to stay up later and later.
It's funny how something as simple as light can completely transform our sleep patterns. And it's still happening today, right? I mean, we're constantly bombarded with artificial light from our phones, our computers, street lights.
Absolutely. All that light messes with our melatonin production, which is the hormone that tells our bodies it's time to sleep. So we end up staying up later, even when we're exhausted.
It's like we're fighting against our own biology.
In a way, yeah. And remember, this biphasic sleep wasn't just some weird medieval fad. There's evidence that it was the norm for humans for millennia. We're talking ancient Greek texts mentioning it too.
Wow. So our ancestors were basically hardwired to sleep in two shifts. It's wild to think that we've essentially overridden that natural inclination over the past few centuries.
It really makes you wonder, right?
Totally. So this brings me to another question. The article mentions this study by sleep researcher Thomas Ware, where he put people in a completely dark environment for like weeks. And guess what happened?
They went back to biphasic sleep.
Bingo. They naturally fell into that two-sleep pattern with a period of wakefulness in the middle.
That's pretty compelling evidence that our bodies might still be wired for segmented sleep. It's just that all the modern stuff, the lights, the caffeine, the late night TV binging, is keeping us from tapping into it.
It makes you wonder what other aspects of modern life are pushing us away from our natural rhythms. I mean, our diets are totally different from what our ancestors ate. We're constantly plugged into technology. Maybe we've become so obsessed with productivity that we've forgotten how to just be.
It's a good point. Maybe it's time we take a step back and question some of these ingrained habits.
Right. Like, is there any real benefit to trying to bring back segmented sleep in our modern lives? Or is this just romanticizing the past?
Well, it's definitely not easy to just switch back to a biphasic sleep schedule, especially with our busy lives and demanding work schedules. But some experts believe that even incorporating elements of segmented sleep into our routines could be really beneficial.
Like how?
Well, think about that watch period, that hour or two of quiet wakefulness in the middle of the night. Some people find that it's an incredibly productive time. They can get a lot of creative work done or just enjoy some peaceful solitude before the day starts.
That's interesting. It's almost like having a secret bonus hour or two in your day.
Exactly. And even if you can't swing a full watch period, even a short midday nap can have a huge impact on your energy levels and cognitive function.
Okay, so you're not necessarily saying we should all go full biphasic, but maybe we can learn something from our ancestors about how to better align our sleep patterns with our natural rhythms.
Exactly. It's about finding what works for you. Maybe that means dimming the lights an hour before bed, or putting away your phone and picking up a book instead. Or maybe it means giving yourself permission to take a 20-minute power nap in the afternoon.
That's something I could definitely get behind. So for all of you listening out there, I challenge you to think about your own sleep habits. Are you getting enough rest? Are you feeling energized throughout the day? And if not, maybe it's time to experiment a little. Try dimming the lights, cutting back on caffeine, or even just embracing a little more darkness in your life. You never know. You might just discover a whole new level of restfulness and creativity that you didn't even know was possible.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And hey, if you're feeling really adventurous, maybe try that darkness experiment the article mentioned. See what happens when you let your body's natural sleep rhythms take over. You might be surprised at what you discover.
I'm definitely going to give it a shot.
Me too. All right, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
It was a pleasure.
Until next time, sleep well.
And sleep smart.